Hey garden friends, today let's talk about a fun perennial that is beautiful, tough, and it has kind of an interesting past. You know, there is a plant in my garden that keeps on trucking even if I forget to water, ignore it, or we have hot spells, dry spells, you name it. This thing just quietly keeps on being beautiful. And I want a beautiful garden without having to work super hard for it, without exhausting myself. And I know there's many of you like me out there. And for those of you that want the same, I would say sedum is something that needs to be on your list to add to your cottage garden or any kind of garden, rock garden, succulent garden, containers. This plant, sedum, will cover the gamut. So let's talk about 10 things you should know about growing sedum or having sedum in your garden, and then we'll go over some of the interesting historical facts. So first of all, I have my list as usual to keep me on track. So sedum, number one, the number one thing you need to know is sedum loves neglect. It's a plant that you can just plant and leave alone. Overwatering is the number one mistake most people make with having sedum in their garden. And over fertilizing, if you have the taller growing one, can make them floppy. So you're better off putting it in an area that you just want to set it and forget it. In your garden, if you are a recovering over caretaker, then sedum is something that can help cure you. And it will train you to relax in the garden. Number two, drainage matters more than anything else. Yes. If you must remember one thing, make it this. Sedum must have excellent drainage, whether it's in your garden or in a container. So sandy or gritty soil is best, especially, I shouldn't say especially in a container, but be mindful of that if you grow in very heavy clay soil or you get tons of rain. You may be better off in keeping it in a container. Raised beds also work beautifully because they do drain quickly, more quickly than very clay-ish soil. I do have a video on amending clay soil to help you to grow many things across the board, so I'll link that in the description box below. So containers, they also must drain fast. And I think I have a blog post on creating your own succulent soil, so I'll link that if I do. If not, I'm going to make one. That's just a good one to have. I don't know that I have a video yet of that, but I do have one of my DIY soil recipe, and I need to redo that, and I keep saying I'm going to. So wet roots equal rot, always. So be mindful of that. If you failed in the past, it could be a drainage issue. So number three, it's a succulent, kind of like sempervivums, hens and chicks, echeverias. So keep that in mind. So being a succulent means it stores water in its leaves, and that's why it does so very well in drought or very dry conditions. So think fleshy leaves, thick fleshy leaves equals water reserves. Perfect for dry climates like here in California, and hot summers. Also, many places here in California have hot summers. Great choice if you're cutting back on watering. And this is a reason that sedums are trending very highly right now, because many people are going to lower maintenance gardens as well as drought tolerant gardens for less watering. So there are two main types. This is point number 4. So know which ones you have. Not all sedums grow the same. Upright sedum, example, Autumn Joy is a very popular upright sedum. It grows 18 to 24 inches tall, blooms beautifully at the end of the season or into summer, into fall. There's other upright sedums as well that I have that have the color they provide is in their foliage. I have a purple one. I have some that are blue-gray, and things like that. Now, I also have similar creeping sedums, which is next. They low growing ground cover, very tough. They spread between stones or edging. I also use them, some that I have that are bigger leafed, in the base of like one of my tree roses. I'll show you later. I have to prune it constantly because it just thrives in there. It does not interfere with the rose whatsoever. So they're often evergreen in mild climates, and here is one of them. They are less colorful, and I had one in the winter that just got smashed by that tree that fell in my back garden, and I thought it was a goner, and I see that it's reviving now that we've got the tree removed and all of that. So, and it's the real pretty purple one I wanted in an area to show it off. So if you mix both of them, that really aids in getting the cottage look. Even though sedums may not be what you think of traditionally as a cottage plant, they work beautifully in cottage gardens. And a little bit later when we go to the history, you'll know why. Okay, so number 5, full sun equals the best blooms and the best growing, best color if you have the type that have colorful foliage. They thrive in full sun 6+ hours. And if you have them in shade, you may not get the vibrancy of the colors that you normally would. And maybe they won't grow as well. I haven't tried. I'm trying to think if I have any in a shadier area, and I don't think I do. But so just full sun works. Too much shade equals floppy stems and fewer blooms, if you grow them for the blooms. I really don't grow them for blooms. I do have a few autumn joy sedums that it's nice at the end of the season to have the blooms. And so, but that's not primarily why I grow the majority of my sedums. So 6, it is a pollinator magnet late in the season. Just when other things are going over, the sedums are really starting. So the bees love it. Butterflies will gather to it in clusters, and it provides that late season nectar that they need. So this makes it incredibly valuable as a pollinator plant. Even the creeping types that I have, the lemon coral sedum, I have Angelina, I had what was called Old Man Bones. I think I've lost that one, but it was really an interesting one. I would like to get another one if I can find it. I had it in a wheelbarrow planter that got smashed from some heavy snows, and it didn't survive. But I have tons of others in containers. In fact, if you see, I have a blog post and a video where I made a big terracotta pot into a succulent planter. It was tiered, and I put some sedums in it. I have a big container tub, which I will show you after a bit. So let's keep going before I get off in the weeds here. 7, you do not need fertilizer. That surprises a lot of people, but it's so true. Rich soil will equal weak, floppy growth, and lean soil equals stronger stems and better form. So it goes along with the plants that I've done plenty of the 10 things you need to know about, like echinacea, cosmos, and I have one coming up for coreopsis, I think. And plants like that they will do well in leaner soil. Not dead soil, but not overly rich soil. So keep that in mind. So lean soil, big benefit. Don't fertilize through the summer. You see people pouring fertilizer on their gardens all the time or putting it in planting holes. Just don't do that. But it goes to show you that you don't need to add starter fertilizer to planting holes, and it's widely advised against. So the adding it to the hole is marketing, garden marketing. It is not garden wisdom. That is a phrase I've been using more frequently because I want to get it across to many of you who think that doing what a lot of gardening gurus online do is what you're supposed to do, and many times it's not. It's just them promoting a product that, yeah, they're getting paid to promote. And maybe they don't know better, I don't know. But if you do the scientific research, you will find that it is not something you should do. Alrighty, let's move some of these things. Okay, so number 8. It is really easy to propagate. That is the great thing about it. You buy one plant and you can have tons. So you snap off a stem, or if it's the creeping, like it's still a stem, stick it in soil and it will root quickly. Some people do try to root them in water. The only caveat with that is if you root in water, when you go ahead and potted it up, then it will take time to adjust, because water roots are different than roots that have developed in soil. So just be aware of that. It's fun to watch roots grow, and you can do it that way, but just know that it's going to take a little bit longer to get established. So you can turn one plant into many without spending another dime. So if you find a sedum that you really love, then think about going ahead and getting it, even though it might be on the pricier end. Just know that you can easily propagate it and spread it throughout your garden. So, number 9, leave it standing in winter for interest. Yeah, because it can be. Many of them are evergreen. Many of mine get covered with snow, but when there's not snow covering them, at least there's something to look at. So don't rush to cut them back. So even the flower stalks, if you let them stay, some of them will reseed for you, which is interesting. The same happened with some sempervivums, which is another succulent. Hens and chicks, a lot of people call them. But they can add structure to the garden in the winter. And they can help provide habitat for pollinators or insects that overwinter in your garden. So you can wait till spring to cut them back, the flower stalks. So number 10 about growing them is they work just about anywhere, including containers. Now I talked about the container I had them in. I also have them in the base of a container of a tree rose. They're very versatile, sedum is. So they work in garden borders, rock gardens, containers, and edging pathways. Also, I have found them great in pathways between large stepping stones, the creeping ones. They do beautifully there as well. I will share with you a close-up or a little bit of a clip of the one I have next to some roses in the entrance to my secret cottage garden. And I also have it in a container that I did, a container of succulents. I need to get my succulent container video edited and put up for you, and yeah, I think you'll like that. So just remember with containers, back to good drainage. Just make sure you have good draining soil in them. So sedums have never been a fussy plant, and adding them to your garden, it's just a win for you. So let's go back to that history, the history of the sedums. Now, I found some of these really, really interesting. So the real history of sedum, also called stonecrop. So the name sedum comes from to sit. It's the Latin word for sedere, meaning to sit. So this refers to how these plants sit low and cling tightly to rocks and stones. They grow in places most plants simply can't survive. So this alone tells you how long humans have observed their tough and stubborn nature. So interesting fact number 2, a plant of stone walls and ruins. Historically, sedums were known as stonecrops because they naturally grew on ancient stone walls, in rock crevices, and along ruins and dry hillsides. In parts of England and across Europe, they were often just there, not planted, but appearing on their own. So gardeners later intentionally moved them into their gardens because of their toughness. So 3, this one I found really interesting. Used in traditional herbal medicine. You wouldn't think sedums, you'd think other herbs. But certain sedums, especially ore pine, Sedum telephium, now often classified as Heliotelephium, were used in herbal practices. They were believed to help wounds and inflammation, be mildly cooling and soothing. So it's not something today we use, but historically they were valued. So number 4, interesting fact, they're associated with endurance and resilience. And this is because they thrive in poor soil, drought, and harsh conditions. And it became a quiet symbol of endurance and persistence. Not in a mythological way like sempervivum, but in a very practical and lived experience way. Now, what I was talking about the sempervivums is there was a historical thing that popped up about hens and chicks and that being used on roofs, green roofs in Europe way back when. And it was supposed to absorb or somehow help prevent lightning from hitting the houses or from damaging the houses from lightning. Now, it's been disproven, but it is in the succulent family like sedums, and that was just a very interesting thing. And people who are creating green roofs, they use sedums and sempervivums to do so. So, and it's a hot and dry, very shallow area. And it's very interesting to watch garden shows where they're putting in these green roofs because the medium they put down, etc. It's just very, I find it interesting. So 5, from wild plant to garden favorite. Sedum's journey into gardens happened gradually. First, they were noticed growing wild in harsh places, then transplanted into cottage gardens, and eventually bred into fuller, showier varieties that we grow today. So, especially the upright autumn joy became popular for the late season color and pollinator support and its reliability. So, a modern twist. Why are sedums trending today? And that's because of the same thing. They're drought tolerant, they're low maintenance gardening plant, and they're climate resilient plantings. So people just have adopted or found the beauty in them that goes along with their toughness or vice versa. And I have grown them for probably 10 years now. And as I'm finding new ones with different textures and colors, then I've been adding them to my garden more and more. And this is me going towards a much lower maintenance garden. And yeah, we often in summer, and this summer will probably be the same, we will probably face water restrictions. And if you can have a beautiful garden and in such stringent conditions, I guess you would say, then it's a win. And then you can continue to enjoy gardening without worrying. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed the pictures and the little video clips of the sedums I'm growing. And if you have any you can recommend to me, I think that's wonderful. So I hope you enjoyed this video and the little historical addition of growing sedums in your garden. So I'll see you next time. So I know this really doesn't have anything to do with gardening or growing or even sedums, but I wanted to remind folks and even tell folks that have not been here before that I do have a painting website where I share beginner-friendly little painting tutorials that you can just relax and enjoy. There's no pressure, you don't have to perform, and it's broken down into small increments that you can really just relax and enjoy. So that's over at pamelagropey.com. The link will be in the description box below. And please do share what you would like to see over there as far as tutorials. I'm kind of at a loss, or whatever, what do you say? I'm kind of hitting a block wall as far as what to serve up next on that channel. So I would really appreciate it. And because, you know, everything changes over time, what people are looking for or wanting. And yeah, so I forgot to share this. Look at this. Isn't this gorgeous? We took a trip to Filoli, which is a local public garden and estate that is just beautiful. And this is Major Wheeler honeysuckle. I have been wanting one of these. I haven't been able to find one. They had it in their garden shop. And I hope to share a few clips of that video coming up soon of our visit there. But isn't this thing just gorgeous? I love that the red in it is not too orangey. It has a blue cool tint, and it contrasts so well with the yellow centers, but yellow and orange centers. So major wheeler honeysuckle, in case you want to get one. All right, I'll see you next time, and enjoy your day in the garden or wherever you may be. All right.